When tech mogul Marcus Blackwell introduced his new trophy wife to high society, he thought he left his past behind. But when his ex-wife Celine walked into that glittering ballroom, transformed, powerful, and ready to collect what was owed, Marcus realized some debts can never be escaped. Before we dive into this incredible story of karma and justice, smash that like button if you believe everyone gets what they deserve eventually, and hit subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this unfolds. Picture this: a black 45-year-old man standing in front of a mirror that costs more than most people's houses, adjusting a tie that could fund a small charity. Marcus Blackwell doesn't just look at his reflection, he admires it. $2.3 billion does that to a man's ego. It makes him believe he's not just wealthy, he's untouchable. But here's what Marcus doesn't see in that expensive mirror: the monster staring back at him. Because when you've spent 15 years treating people like disposable assets, when you've perfected the art of discarding human beings the moment they stop serving your image, you lose the ability to recognize your own cruelty. Tonight is Marcus's night, his moment to show the world his latest acquisition. And yes, that's exactly how he thinks about Lexi, his 28-year-old wife. She's standing there in a dress that costs more than most people's cars, all golden hair and practiced smiles, looking every inch the trophy wife she was hired to be. Because make no mistake, this isn't love, this is a transaction. Marcus's mansion in the Hamptons is buzzing with 200 of the most powerful people on the East Coast. These aren't just guests, they're his audience. Every champagne flute, every crystal chandelier, every marble column is a prop in Marcus's favorite performance, showing the world just how superior he believes he is. I can almost hear his thoughts as he surveys his kingdom. Look what I built. Look what I own. Look who I became. But what Marcus doesn't realize is that empires built on the suffering of others have a way of crumbling from within. You see, Marcus has a philosophy that's guided his entire adult life. People are investments. When they appreciate in value, you keep them. When they depreciate, you dump them. It served him well in business, turning him into one of the youngest billionaires in tech history. But Marcus made one critical error. He applied this same ruthless calculation to his personal life. His first wife? Boring, he'd tell his friends. She couldn't keep up with my success. His second wife? Lost her spark after the kids. Each woman was traded in like a luxury car, replaced with a newer model the moment Marcus decided they no longer enhanced his image. As he walks through his party tonight, Marcus feels invincible. He's surrounded by senators, celebrities, and CEOs who hang on his every word. The validation is intoxicating. He's built the perfect life, surrounded himself with the perfect people, married the perfect woman. Everything is exactly as he planned it. But here's the thing about perfection. It's an illusion. And tonight, Marcus Blackwell is about to learn that some illusions shatter in the most spectacular ways possible. Because somewhere in the city, a woman is getting ready to attend a party she wasn't invited to. A woman who knows exactly what Marcus Blackwell is capable of because she lived through his cruelty firsthand. Marcus thinks he's the author of this story, but he's about to discover he's just a character in someone else's masterpiece of justice. Marcus is in his element, working the room like the master manipulator he's always been. He's just finished telling a group of investors about his latest acquisition when I see it. The first crack in his perfect facade. One of his assistants whispers something in his ear that makes his smile falter for just a fraction of a second. There's a car outside, sir. Someone who wasn't on the guest list. Now, you have to understand something about Marcus Blackwell. This man controls everything, down to the thread count of his napkins. Nothing happens in his world without his permission. So when something unexpected occurs, when someone dares to disrupt his carefully orchestrated performance, it's like watching a computer glitch in real time. But Marcus recovers quickly. He's had decades of practice hiding his true nature behind that billion-dollar smile. He waves off his assistant with the kind of dismissive gesture that says, handle it. Because in Marcus's world, problems are always someone else's responsibility to solve. That's when I noticed the guests near the windows starting to murmur. There's something happening outside that's caught their attention, and in a room full of people who thrive on gossip and social currency, whispers spread like wildfire. Is that? It can't be. She looks completely different. Marcus's confident stride falters. For the first time tonight, he's not the center of attention, and that terrifies him more than any business deal gone wrong. Because Marcus Blackwell has built his entire identity on being the most important person in any room. The front door opens, and the temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. Conversations stop mid-sentence. Champagne glasses pause halfway to lips. Even the string quartet seems to miss a note. And then she walks in, Celine Blackwell, Marcus's first wife. But this isn't the woman he divorced 3 years ago. This isn't the quiet, submissive wife who used to apologize for taking up space in her own home. This woman commands attention without saying a word. She's wearing power like a second skin, a designer dress that probably costs more than Marcus paid her in the divorce settlement, jewelry that catches the light like captured starlight, and a confidence that fills the room like electricity. But it's her eyes that tell the real story. They're not the defeated, broken eyes of the woman Marcus crushed. These eyes burn with purpose. Marcus's face goes through a series of expressions that would be comical if they weren't so revealing. Shock, confusion, fear, and then something that looks almost like recognition, not of who she is, but of what she represents. Consequences, the bill coming due. You see, Marcus thought he knew Celine's story. 15 years of marriage to a woman he systematically destroyed piece by piece. He convinced her she was worthless, that her dreams of starting her own business were foolish fantasies. When she finally worked up the courage to pitch him a consulting idea that could have revolutionized his company, he laughed in her face. Stick to charity galas, sweetheart. Leave the real work to people who understand it. But here's what Marcus never understood about the woman he married. Celine wasn't weak. She was patient. She wasn't stupid. She was strategic. And she wasn't broken. She was learning. During those final years of their marriage, while Marcus was busy parading his affair with Lexi around town, Celine was quietly studying. She was watching Marcus's business practices, understanding his weaknesses, and most importantly, she was documenting everything. When Marcus served her with divorce papers, when his army of lawyers made sure she walked away with almost nothing, Celine didn't fight back. She took her settlement, barely enough to rent a decent apartment, and she disappeared from his world. Marcus assumed she'd fade away like all the other people he'd discarded. He probably figured she'd end up working some dead-end job, bitter and defeated, occasionally showing up in his Google alerts as a cautionary tale. But standing in his mansion tonight, looking at this transformed woman who somehow managed to silence a room full of the most powerful people in the country, Marcus is beginning to realize he made a terrible miscalculation. Because Celine Blackwell didn't disappear, she evolved. What happens next is the kind of moment that makes you believe in divine justice. Celine doesn't storm across the room. She doesn't raise her voice or cause a scene. Instead, she does something far more devastating. She walks through Marcus's party like she owns it. And here's the beautiful irony. She actually does. Every step Celine takes toward Marcus is measured, deliberate, powerful. The crowd parts before her like she's royalty because in this moment, she absolutely is. She's not the broken woman Marcus discarded. She's something he never saw coming. His equal, and possibly his superior. Marcus is trying to maintain his composure, but I can see the panic creeping into his eyes. His hands are trembling just slightly as he reaches for his whiskey glass. This is a man who's built his fortune on reading people, on staying 3 steps ahead of everyone else. But right now, he has no idea what's coming next. Celine stops directly in front of Marcus and Lexi. The silence in the room is deafening. 200 of the most influential people in the country are holding their breath, sensing they're about to witness something extraordinary. "Hello, Marcus," Celine says, and her voice carries across the room like a bell tolling. "Congratulations on your wedding. I hope this one lasts longer than our marriage did." The words are polite, almost cordial, but they land like grenades. Because everyone in this room knows the story. They know how Marcus humiliated Celine, how he flaunted his affair, how he used his wealth and power to crush her in the divorce. But what they don't know, what Marcus is about to learn, is how that crushing became Celine's catalyst. "I have some news that might interest you," Celine continues, still smiling that serene, confident smile. "About your company, about your future, about the consequences of treating people like they're disposable." Marcus finally finds his voice, but it comes out strangled, desperate. "Celine, what are you doing here? This is a private event." "Oh, I know," she replies, "but I thought your guests might be interested to hear about Blackwell Dynamics' new ownership structure. After all, some of them are major investors." The room suddenly feels like it's tilting. Marcus's face goes from pale to ashen because in that moment he realizes this isn't a coincidence. This isn't his bitter ex-wife showing up to embarrass him. This is something far more calculated, far more devastating. "You see, Marcus," Celine continues, her voice steady as a surgeon's hand. "After our divorce, I did exactly what you always told me to do. I got smart about business. I learned how to play the game. And I discovered something fascinating about your company. It's built on a foundation of quicksand." The guests are leaning in now, sensing blood in the water. These are people who've made fortunes from other people's failures, and they can smell a corporate takedown from miles away. "While you were busy with your new wife, I was busy with your old employees, the ones you fired for questioning your methods, the ones you bullied into silence, the ones who kept detailed records of every corner you cut, every law you bent, every person you destroyed." Marcus's glass slips from his hand, shattering on the marble floor. The sound echoes through the silent room like a gunshot. "I built something beautiful from the ashes of what you did to me," Celine says, and now there's steel in her voice. "A consulting firm that's been systematically identifying and exploiting every weakness in Blackwell Dynamics' armor. Your biggest clients? They're mine now. Your most talented employees? They work for me. Your board of directors? They're meeting tomorrow morning to discuss your removal." The transformation is complete. Now Marcus Blackwell, the man who walked into this party as master of the universe, is crumbling before everyone's eyes. His empire, his reputation, his carefully constructed image, all of it is collapsing in real time. And the most beautiful part? Celine is just getting started. What I'm about to tell you is the most perfect example of karma I've ever witnessed. Because Celine Blackwell isn't finished, she's been building to this moment for 3 years, and she's about to deliver the killing blow with the precision of a master chess player announcing checkmate. Marcus is standing there, swaying slightly like a building in an earthquake, desperately trying to process what's happening to his world. His mouth opens and closes, but no words come out. For a man who's made his fortune with his voice, with his ability to convince and manipulate, this silence is devastating. "There's more, Marcus," Celine says, and her voice cuts through his panic like a blade. "The SEC received an anonymous tip last week about some very interesting irregularities in Blackwell Dynamics' financial reports. Something about inflated user numbers, hidden debts, and some rather creative accounting practices." The gasps from the crowd are audible now. These people know what SEC investigations mean. They've seen empires crumble overnight when federal regulators start digging. Marcus's knees actually buckle slightly, and he has to grab onto a nearby column for support. But Celine isn't done destroying him yet. "Oh, and Marcus, remember that class action lawsuit your former employees filed? The one your lawyers said would never see the inside of a courtroom? Well, it turns out when you have documented evidence of workplace harassment, illegal termination practices, and systematic wage theft, judges tend to take notice." I can see Lexi out of the corner of my eye, and her reaction is almost as fascinating as Marcus's collapse. This woman who married him for his money, his status, his power is watching all of it evaporate in real time. Her face is a mask of calculation. She's already planning her exit strategy. Marcus finally finds his voice, but it comes out as a desperate wheeze. Celine, please, we can work something out. I can pay you. I can pay me. Celine's laugh is like music, clear and bright, and absolutely merciless. Marcus, you still don't understand, do you? I don't want your money. I don't need your money. I have something much more valuable than money. I have justice. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a single sheet of paper. The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop as she unfolds it with deliberate care. This is an offer to purchase Blackwell Dynamics, she announces to the room, for the exact amount you left me with in our divorce settlement, $47,312. The number hangs in the air like a slap. $47,000 for a company worth $2.3 billion. It's not just an insult. It's poetry. Marcus's legs give out completely now. He slides down the marble column until he's sitting on the floor of his own mansion, in front of 200 of the most powerful people in the country, looking like exactly what he is, a broken man who finally understands the price of his cruelty. The beautiful thing about karma, Celine says, looking down at him with something that might almost be pity, is that it's patient. It waits, it watches, and when the moment is right, it strikes with perfect precision. She turns to address the room now. These people who came here to celebrate Marcus's success and are instead witnessing his complete destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that when I acquire Blackwell Dynamics tomorrow morning, every employee who was wrongfully terminated will be offered their job back. Every pension that was stolen will be restored. Every person Marcus Blackwell destroyed will be made whole. The silence that follows is profound. This isn't just revenge, this is restoration. This isn't just about bringing down a tyrant. It's about healing the damage he caused. Celine Blackwell walks toward the door, her heels clicking against the marble with the steady rhythm of justice served. She doesn't look back at the man she once loved, the man who tried to destroy her, the man who's now learning that some things in this universe are more powerful than money. Marcus Blackwell built an empire on the suffering of others. Tonight, Celine Blackwell proved that empires built on cruelty always fall. And that's how karma works, my friends. Not with lightning strikes or dramatic explosions, but with patience, precision, and perfect timing. Celine Blackwell didn't just get revenge, she got justice. She didn't just tear down a tyrant. She built something better from the ruins. If this story gave you chills, if it made you believe that good things really do happen to good people and bad things catch up with bad people, then you need to hit that like button right now. Because stories like this remind us that the universe has a way of balancing the scales, even when it takes years to happen. I want you to drop a comment below and tell me, do you think Marcus Blackwell got exactly what he deserved, or was Celine too harsh? Because I've got to tell you, after watching this whole thing unfold, I think she was absolutely perfect. She could have destroyed him completely, but instead, she chose to heal the damage he caused. That's not revenge, that's restoration. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I've got more incredible stories of karma and justice coming your way. Stories that will restore your faith in the idea that what goes around really does come around. Stories that prove that treating people with cruelty and contempt always has consequences, even if those consequences take time to arrive. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been hurt by people like Marcus Blackwell. Someone who needs to know that bullies don't always win, that tyrants don't stay in power forever, and that sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys really do come out on top. Until next time, remember this. How we treat people matters. The universe is always watching, always keeping score, and always ready to deliver the most perfect justice when the time is right. Marcus Blackwell learned that lesson the hard way. Let's make sure we learn it the easy way. Keep believing in karma. Keep fighting for justice, and keep treating people with the karma, kindness, and respect they deserve, because you never know. Someday, someone might be telling your story of triumph too.